Hey, so welcome to another podcast episode of the Soulful Side of Life with me, Ali Portee. And I am excited about this interview with Mona May. She is a costume designer, and when I got the email from her publicist to interview her, I jumped at it. Mona, you're going to know the movie that she was the costume director for. Everybody knows it. Clueless, that came out in 1995. And Mona is known for her use of colors and bold prints and expressing just even in her own sartorial style, wearing bold colors. And that came from, she explained, from growing up in the communist world where everything was kind of monotone in blacks and whites and grays. And but because her father, who was a diplomat, and she grew up in different places around the world, from Warsaw to Berlin to India. And it was India that had a profound effect on her with wanting to incorporate color just in her own style. And she always loved fashion from a young age. And she knew she was going to somehow make a career out of it. She went to fashion school. She did quite a few programs in fashion design. And she has done upwards of over 70 productions since the start of her career. She started out with making or doing the costumes for music videos, like with Run DMC, but Clueless in 1995 was her breakthrough opportunity. She had known the director, Amy Heckerling, before that, and Amy called her up and said, "Hey, you've got to do this movie with me." And what Mona points out is that this was before teen movies were a thing. Clueless was the first, and so many studios passed up Clueless until Paramount took on the project. And after that, you had Mean Girls, you had Devil Wears Prada isn't a teen movie, but you had, Mean Girls, you had Legally Blonde, and Mona just is known for the styles that she picked out of that film. And I think that when a woman thinks of Clueless, she thinks of that plaid yellow skirt suit that Alicia Silverstone's character Cher wears in the first scene on that first day of school scene. And what that film did was elevate high school fashion, because it was the era of the 90s where grunge was in and girls started taking appreciation for fashion and upping their style game. So enjoy this podcast episode with Mona May. She's also been a costume director for films Never Been Kissed, Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion, The Wedding Singer, A Night at the Roxbury, and Loser, amongst many others. So enjoy. Okay, so thank you so much, Mona, for letting me interview you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here. Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful.
Yes, and to have you too. And what I was just getting ready to say is that Clueless is so iconic, because I was probably in fourth or fifth grade when did the TV show come out first
No,
and
no,
then the
it was
movie?
it was the
The
movie.
movie. Okay, I
Mhm.
clearly remember the TV show.
Okay, so the movie came in 1995 in the theaters.
Okay.
There was
Yeah.
pre-Netflix, so there was nothing else. It was either the movies, and then after the movie, maybe a year later, the TV show started, and we got 2 seasons of the TV show.
It was my jam. It was my Friday night. What was the ABC had the shows Family Matters, and
Yes.
Clueless, I think, was one of the last ones.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh, I wish high schools in my district were LA like, and because nobody was wearing the it was a very what am I trying to say, like, private school aesthetic in the dress, like, that was just and how,
No,
Cher was
no.
able to dress it up in a
Right,
very
right,
chic
right.
way.
Right.
In the book that's coming out, you talk about that no in the '90s, kids were wearing grunge.
I mean, that was so interesting. I think that people don't realize that, we kind of revolutionized the fashion with the movie because before the movie, everybody was in their baggy clothes, girls and boys looked the same. We actually, with Amy Heckling, the director of the movie, went scouting the high school, for the film here in Los Angeles. And we were both like, oh my God, just awful. People are looking awful. This is not our movie. Because in the film, in the script, the girls were rich girls in Beverly Hills. They had daddy's credit card, so they could probably even go to fashion shows in Milan or London or New York and just, have the pick of the day. And, they would bring the clothes. But what was so interesting that, it had to also live in high school. They were not just supermodels running around. They were 16 years old. So how do you
Yeah,
take all the high fashion and kind of transform that into age appropriate and high school appropriate? So that was very interesting to do as
yeah,
a costume designer. But
I'm
yeah, I
sure it
think it
was.
was, the idea was to be very um, fresh and new and feminine and colorful and really, change things because there were no movies about girls at the time. This was the first movie about girls. Actually, the movie didn't get made for many, many years because when Amy Heckerling wrote it, it was based on Emma, Jane Austen Emma. She took it around studios and basically they said, what? Movie about girls? Add some boys and we'll make it. And she was like, I'm not adding boys. This is a movie about girls. So
Mhm.
she got rejected at several studios till
Wow.
Paramount. And then Scott Rudin, big producer, got involved, Jerry Lansing, and they championed the film. But it was just there was no Legally Blonde, there was no Mean Girls. We were really the first ones to kind
Mhm.
of bring the feminine power, friendship, to the screen.
Yeah. It really I mean, those were the good old days, and I'm sure that everybody, when they look back on their childhood era, they're like, "These were" it was the good old days. There was nothing like going to Blockbuster and begging your parents, "Oh, can we stop at Pizza Hut and get a pizza?" And then you're with your 3 good school friends, and you're watching Clueless as a 4th, 5th grader, and you're dreaming of high school and, "Oh, I'm gonna get a boyfriend like that. I'm gonna drive a Jeep," and it really impacted the pop culture. But before, speaking more on the film, I'm curious, what was little girl Mona like?
Little girl Mona was always into fashion, and I think because of being born in India, that had such an impact on me. So I kind of always loved color. The interesting growing up in Poland afterwards, after India, in a communist Poland, it was very gray and dark, and I just could not understand it, why people are not wearing more colors. So I would be like a peacock, always kind of wearing the bright colors and being, standing out in the crowd. But I loved it. I really just really color speaks to me, and I was the little child who drew the princesses with many outfits and, told mom what to wear and, organized the closet and stuff. So that was always kind of in my DNA somehow.
Yeah.
I love sports too, but that was kind of, my other love, but really fashion, clearly, art, and had very lucky, childhood where I was able to pursue it. My parents were very open to it and I got to go to different classes and um, kind of explore all of that. And, I was able to go to fashion school, which was really great. So that really, I was able to pursue my passion, kind of my love, which is great. I mean, when one can do it, I think it's a lucky thing, where you know what you want to do. And then, living in different countries, I think it's also very pivotal to the way that I see the world. It's kind of like fashion because I was exposed to many cultures, Poland, India. My mom is German. I lived in Germany, traveled a lot as my parents. My father was a diplomat. So, I was in Japan and different places. So I was able to kind of see the world in a very big way, as a
Mhm.
child. And I think it
Hmm.
has a really big impact to the way that I see clothes and women. And I think that my films, you can kind of see a thread of similarity in a way, kind of a signature, how I approach a female body. I think that there's like some timelessness to my clothes. I think that's why Clueless still lives, and I think it's still watchable and it's still kind of almost current
Yeah.
with the clothes, even though it's 90s. But if you look at Romy and Michelle, Never But Kiss, Wedding Singer, a lot of the movies, Enchanted, House Bunny, the female-driven films that I've done, there's a thread. I think I I look at things in a very classic way. That's what inspires me. Something that's just like the breakfast at Tiffany, the little black dress, the twin set, sweater twin set, peacoats, the shift dresses, the A-line skirts, the cap sleeves, the empire waist, things that it's like if you wear it, no matter what, you're gonna look great because it just is very aesthetically designed, well designed for a female body. Instead of the big
Yes.
giant sleeves or muumuu dresses or things that you just need swallowed up and can't really explore ourselves and kind of, express ourselves in a way.
Right. For sure. Um, did you think as a child that you could make a career out of fashion, or was it just a dream as a child, or you knew that you were gonna do that?
I knew I'm gonna do that. I mean, there was no
Okay.
doubt about it. I just knew I'm gonna do it. Yeah, that was just, I knew it. Right? That's something that, and I was exposed to enough that I knew that that exists, and what that is. It's really that way. So I did not know though about career costume design. So that was a very interesting. I pursued fashion design. I went to different schools all over the world, but not till I got to LA. Really, that's when I was in fashion school here in Los Angeles, and I found out about costume design kind of by chance. I mean, I've always watched movies. I love movies, and they inspired me. I mean, My Fair Lady was like one of my favorite movies as a kid because I loved all the hats. But I had friends who were at USC Film School, and then one day they said, "Hey, we're doing this little short film for our thesis, and you have clothes, right? You can get clothes." I was like, "Yes, I can get clothes." And they
Yeah.
gave me like a little short script. And I read it and I just loved the idea. Creating costumes and I mean, creating clothes that tell a story. It was so much more than just fashion, which is great too. It's expressing yourself, it's telling your all private story. But here there's a story that actually has a beginning and end in the middle, and you have to kind of figure out who these characters are and what they're doing, where they're from, are they sad, are they happy, are they depressed? And when you really think of an outfit, when actor steps out into the screen, I think within seconds you know who they are, like who they were.
Yeah.
The socioeconomic, are they rich, are they poor, are they depressed, are they happy, are they what's happening with them? Are they baggy and wrinkled and have stains on the clothes? What does that say about them? Were they like very buttoned up and uptight? So it's wonderful. And that really was just like a drug for me. I loved it from the moment I started doing it. And then,
Be
yeah, yeah,
before you got to LA, were you wanting to work for a fashion house or start your own brand?
on my own brand.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was always very independent. I was kind of a boss lady, self-starter. I always had ideas. I'm a good leader. So I think I was more inclined to do that. I mean, I did internships. I've worked at firms. I worked at a firm in Berlin, but it's defunct now. But so I've done internships. It was great to learn about fabrics and I know how everything works. It was different times then, 30 years ago. You have so many resources like now with the internet and Instagram, and how do you express yourself and get out there in the world? It's just different ways.
Right.
So falling into the costume was kind of a really cool
Mhm.
door that opened for me.
Yeah. It's amazing how the careers you don't plan for and that you stumble into become your purpose and your passion. I guess that's why we have to remain kind of flexible, or that's what I would at least tell a high schooler who may be freaking out, like, what am I going to do? And I got to go to this school and then I got to this and this. It doesn't always work like that.
What do you think you're gonna learn? So you're gonna go to this school, you don't like it, or you really love it, or and then you go to this school and maybe you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. But then I learned photography, and then that took off, and you become a photographer. So yeah, I think being open. And, I think it's really finding the passion, figuring out what that is. It takes time.
Mhm.
It really takes time. I mean, I've been doing this, for example, for 30 years, and I love my job, and I'm so passionate about what I do. But now I'm opening up another door for me with the book, with
Sure.
teaching, with mentoring. I'm starting to do master classes. I'm going to SCAD, so my Master of Arts, October, to the
Nice.
master classes there. So again, that's taking me to yet another vista, which is now I can give back, and it's so fun to
Mhm.
do that, and to talk to the students. To talk to people like you, and share my knowledge and share kind of my love, for
Yeah.
clothes, for costumes. Um, and I love it. It's like a whole nother chapter for me.
Yeah, everything's related. It's like you've got these transferable skills and experiences that, I guess when you sit back and look at your life, hopefully you'll live to be 100 or over. You'll just be amazed at how everything came together. Um, yeah. So,
But
how did you?
yes, I
Okay.
would be amazed how everything came together. But I think it involves a lot of work. It involves a lot of passion. It involves, being a participant in your life. I think just waiting
Mhm.
for things to happen. I would not be here today if I was not a passionate hustler and making sure
Sure.
that I get that job. Like after this, I prepare my presentation. I show up to work. I make the movie after movie, maybe with sacrificing other parts of my life. Like, I've been married, but I have children. It just didn't seem like in my part. So I think you have to think of life too as being real participant, creating the life. So yes, I will look back and I'm like, wow, I did good. I really did it all. And I think that's
Yeah.
important because in the
Yeah.
end, it's only you who made or bad or not. And of course, there's circumstances of life and things happen that's out of our control. Uh, but I think there's something to be said about really following through. Uh, it's
Yeah.
important. It's important.
Being an active participant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What was your first costume project, design project that you got on the in a film?
well, when you start out, I mean, you do like music videos, kind of that's where, and the MTV was starting at the time. So I was doing like Debbie Gibson, Run DMC videos, that's kind of like usually the
Wow.
foray into the film. I mean, some people maybe get lucky to get a good break right away. But then there was an MTV skit comedy with Julie Brown. It wasn't the downtown Julie Brown. It was the Red Hot Julie Brown. It was like super fun, and we had Al Yankovic and all kinds of crazy guests and skits, and so that was like I was doing props and I was doing costumes, building stuff out of nothing. But a great experience to kind of learn to do things fast, be on fast on your feet. Then I assisted on one big movie as an assistant. I got into the union, which was great. The Costume Designers Guild, which is kind of where we all uh, belong. We are under IATSE umbrella. So, each in Hollywood, each craft has their own union, which is great. So we are protected. We get our, retirement money put in by the producers, by the studio. We get our health insurance, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, so just all kinds of things, getting more stuff on my resume, meeting people, really like making my way here in Hollywood. And then I met Amy Heckling, who wrote Clueless. I met her on the pilot, and I was already in a union, and she wrote this pilot about two girls in New York City that went out a lot and like just cute little comedy TV show. And the pilot didn't get picked up, but we met and we really fell in love with each other because she loves fashion and our aesthetics were very similar, kind of timeless. She loves things that are just like fit well and are girly. And when she wrote Clueless, she called me. And she's like,
Wow.
I really want you to do it. I want your kind of European understanding on fashion. I want to bring that flavor into Beverly Hills, and make it super fresh and new and high fashion. And it was amazing. It was amazing because it was like dream come true, fashion and film in one.
Mhm.
I mean,
Sign me up.
sign me up.
Yeah. It sounds like, you're an advocate for small beginnings, meaning you didn't get the big break right away, you started with the music videos. What advice would you tell to a young aspiring costume designer who's disappointed that the big break hasn't come? Why is it important to do the small stuff?
Well, to me, it's a craft.
Yeah.
It's art. So you have to learn it. You have to figure it out. Also you have to figure out who you are as an artist
Mm,
because you have to have your own kind of point of view. So I think the beginning, slow beginnings are good because you're kind of figuring out, oh, I like color. No, don't like color. I kind of express myself this way. I'm more whimsical. Oh no, maybe I like more period things. What is it that kind of is your gets your juices going, so I think that's is the time, the period of the beginnings when you're trying all this stuff out. You're also learning how to be in the environment of Hollywood or any place that's a corporate place, or how do you navigate, how do you communicate with people, how do you express the ideas. Film is not somewhere where you're sitting at home and drawing it. You're just doing it, you're solo. It's a big community. You have to talk to the director. You have to talk to the director of photography, the production designer, the you know, uh, decorator even, what are the sets gonna look like, what color of the couch it is. So, communication skills, you have to sharpen, you have to figure all that out. I mean, some
yeah,
people may be naturally really good at it. I was pretty good at it, but still, it's like, learning the ropes. I
sure.
mean, when you have the bigger break, you can kind of really comfortably go through all this, but also have the confidence to design the movie. Because I think
Yeah,
it's film is so fast. Film and television costume design process is so fast. And now with the new way things are, there's shorter times to prep, less people that are on your crew. So you're inundated with the work and everything is already behind when you're starting. So, it's a lot of stress. So it's a lot of
mm,
pressure. So this confidence that you gain from being kind of learning the ropes gives you this confidence to be on the project and do very well.
yeah, for sure. And that leads to my next question, and I know this is gonna sound like such a basic question, but I ask this to cinematographers, to costume designers. How would you describe to a kindergartner what it is that you do? What is it that you do, the relationships that you have to navigate in your role?
Right. I mean, I create costumes for actors in the film or television to tell the story through the
Mm,
clothes. Because clothes
mhm,
tell a story, as you said in the beginning. What does it mean when they're wearing this? Who are they? So that expresses the story and also tells the arc of a character. Because maybe in the beginning they are rich, but then they lose all the money. So they're not going to probably dress the same, you know, as the movie progresses. So it's really, telling a story through the clothes, through the costumes.
yes.
Um, so it's a visual story.
Yeah, and there's things that costumes can do that speaking can't do or cinematography can't do, and they can create some real iconic moments in cinema and television.
Also, what is very important, I think, it gives the actor the information who they are. So when they come into the fitting, they just, let's say it's just Drew Barrymore. But when they come in, they become the character. They shed the Drew Barrymore and they become the character in trying the clothes on and finding
Mm,
exact fit and look of something that makes them feel like the character. Like, Alicia Silverstone, for example, she was 18 when she was on Clueless. She was already an advocate and for animals. uh, she was already saving the world. But, she was like a young kid in sweatpants, walking around with the, beautiful blonde hair with two dogs in tow. She had to come into the fittings and see all the designer clothes and learn how to wear it, figure out how to walk in the clothes. It was an education. So the
of course.
clothes, the costume gave her this power to act like Cher. So that's very transformative for actors. There's like palatable moments sometimes in the fittings when it's like, ah, the actor, the costume just transformed this person into this character. And we all
Yeah,
like, this is it. This is our girl, or this is our guy, or this is it. And that's really
precisely.
cool. Yeah.
It really is, amazing. So who contacted you getting to Clueless? Who contacted you about was it Amy to do the film?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
luckily I had a relationship with her and, she called me up, said, "Let's do it. I want you in this film. You're like the perfect person with the perfect aesthetic." It's kind of like now we say this, before we didn't talk about, I had a global point of view in a way.
Mm,
Yes, I could kind of really take the European fashions, but then bring them to Beverly Hills, bring them to high school to make them age appropriate, create these very authentic characters as a costume designer, not just fashion person, but really take all of that and create these girls that we love, you know, not just fashion girls. We love Cher, we know who she is, and the clothes are not wearing her.
yeah,
She's wearing the clothes, and Stanley with Dion, that was really great. I mean, she was sassy, she was cool, but she was still age appropriate. I mean, Stacey was wonderful because she was a little older. Stacey Dash, the actress who played Dion, she lived in New York. She was like a punk rock, so she was a different person than Alicia in the fitting. She already knew what she wanted. She knows what sassy is, and like, was interested. We were able to really develop this character into something super fun because
yeah,
she was bold.
yeah. And that's probably her New York side as well,
Absolutely.
which
Yeah.
definitely, so did you have to meet with Amy often, or did she just, like, give you the free reins to just she trusted your judgment?
Both. Both.
Okay,
We met
okay.
a lot because, usually in movies you don't have 63 changes for the main character. There's a
That's a
lot
lot.
of clothes. I mean, usually you have maybe 10, 12. So we really had to map it out. We had specific color palettes we were using. It was this, fall, beginning of school. Then we had Christmas, and then we had spring. So, we had to talk about all the color palette we're going to use. We had to talk about, exactly kind of what the feeling of each character is. I mean, Dion is sassy and she's kind of forward and she's a little more experienced with boys, so there's a little bit more sexiness in there. And Cher was the queen bee. I mean, she was like the queen bee of the school, and the rich girl, but a little bit of preppy, very tailored. I mean, she controlled everything in her life, including the clothes and how she put it together. That's how she kind of survived in
Yeah,
the world. Very tailored. Different color palettes for Alicia and different color palette for Stacy. And then you had third girl. Then you had Ty, played by Brittany Murphy. So then really finding out very specific lines of color and shape for each of them. Then you had Amber. Then,
mhm,
then exploring all of these different characters through the film, what happens to them. Like arc for a Brittany Murphy character, Ty. She kind of starts
grungy.
grungy, ugly duckling, and then she becomes mini me, and then she finds herself in the end, really who she is when she's at the end of the movie at the skate park, and she's just like a cute little young girl in her little striped t-shirt, kind of skateboardy but feminine because she took something from Cher. And those are the fun things. Those are kind of the way that you tell the story, what's happened to the character of the person.
For sure. How do you start when you get a film? What is your next move? Do you create a mood board?
First, I
Where do
talk
you
to
start?
the director. You know,
Okay.
first I have to talk to the director. I have to get okay. They are the chief general of the whole movie, the chief general of the idea. How do they see it? Do they see it dark? Do they see it light? What's
Yeah.
the energy of the film? What's the energy of the characters? So I need to get into the nitty gritty of emotions in the film and really the creative ideas that the director had. And those are my clues. So then from there, I can truly go into my own world, how I would interpret it, what they see. And then I will do collages. Sometimes we have to do sketches. Uh, and then I present that to the director and the actor. Sometimes I
Okay.
talk to the actor before, sometimes I don't get to talk to the actor before. And then we have another discussion. Then it's like, oh, yes, this is good. Oh, no, she's too sexy, or she's too this, or, maybe they need to look younger, or, she has to be more vulnerable here. And so then more clues for me. And then I get the actor's feedback too, because you want to know what the actor is feeling. They're going to play the character, they're going to
Mm,
expressing that character on the screen. So I have to listen and I have to be like, okay, you hate brown. Okay. You don't like scratchy things. You don't like team You think that the character would never wear something too tight or whatever that is.
Mm.
And again, I take all of that information and then I can go shopping, pulling from costume houses, creating, designing, all of that. And then we have fittings. So fittings are like the most important thing because this is where the laboratory is. It's really now all the ideas and all the things are coming into actual clothes, things that you have to put on the human body.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the moment, as I said in the beginning, where you're trying things on, like the yellow suit, for example, and
Mhm.
Clueless, I didn't just go to the store to get a yellow suit. I was like, okay, first day of school, where would, think of the high school, Catholic girls' school uniform, plaid skirt, white shirt, maybe sweater vest, but, share with her money and her chutzpah, she would do something outrageous. So why not a suit, plaid suit, right? That would be kind of cool. Very chic, very Vivian Westwood and very kind of cool and a little preppy. And everybody was like, yeah, good idea. So then I go shopping and I found a really beautiful blue suit. I'm like, oh, that's going to look so pretty on Alicia because of her long hair. I found a red plaid in another corner of my eye. So the yellow one, it was quite expensive because it was a designer. It was Jean Paul Gaultier Jr. line. It was
Mm-mm.
really, again, I didn't have all the money in the world. This is not like, where people were sending me designer clothes and stuff. I had to be very inventive. But I was like, I'm going to get it. We get in the fitting room. Alicia comes in, strolls in. I thought we tried the blue suit. It's beautiful on her, but it's like just doesn't have the energy. It's cute.
Mhm, mhm.
Couldn't be. And she's going to be first day of school. She's outside in the quad with all the greens. A lot of people crossing, actors in front of her, background actors. She has to pop. Okay, so let's try the red one. The red was great, but Amy immediately was like, no, 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 this is Christmas colors. We can't have it in the beginning of the school year.
Mm.
And then we put the yellow one on. It was hit. I mean, it was the moment she put it on, it was like queen bee yellow, like the sunshine. But you could,
Iconic.
oh, honey, you couldn't even resist. So, it's a process of getting somewhere, to finding the right thing, to really having the energy of it, the color, the feeling for the scene, and I mean, it was so surprising how great that yellow looked on Alicia, which you wouldn't think that maybe yellow is the right color for blondes, but it was perfect. So
Yeah.
I love that. So it's really like these iconic moments. You're not set up to create them. They create them themselves by
Oh, yeah.
your vision and trying things and stuff, because a lot of people's like, oh, did you know the movie is going to be like this? I mean, we were just doing our job, our process and loving it and having such a great leader, Amy Hecklin, and having the best actors, Alicia and Stacy and Brecken and Rod, Paul Rudd and Brecken Meyer, like all those people.
Yeah.
So,
And who would have known when you were in that store, when
right.
you saw the yellow out of the corner of your eye, that it would be the iconic pick? I think that's the outfit that if you say Clueless to somebody, especially for a woman, yes,
Yeah.
she's
And
gonna
then,
think of that.
right. And here it is on the
And
cover of
there
the
it is.
book.
And there it is.
It's so cool. I mean, but again, it's like we can't set up to do it. It happens. I mean,
Yes.
I think it's very hard. I think as an artist, we trip ourselves if we actually are working on a project or working on a piece of art and we already putting the energy of it that this is going to be the masterpiece
Yes.
because it's just too much pressure. I don't know. I mean, I would feel like I can never do it, measure it. It's never going to be good enough. But if you're just in the process and doing it, and experiencing it and really following the passion and the clues and the things, whatever they may be, film or, your own project that you're making. That's when the energy goes in there. I think that's when the art form is. That's what it really is. It's this inspiration.
Mhm, mhm.
It's
Would
almost
you say
if you are doing art, just when you're writing on your journal, it's just for you, right? You don't want
Sure.
anybody to do it. To me, that's what art should be. It's just like almost for you. It's like just expressing part of yourself. And then if they love it, oh my God, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, precisely. Would you say, because you were working with a very limited budget for the film, that when you're given a limited budget, it causes you to have to think differently and be very resourceful, and you get a
Absolutely.
lot of these cute creative ideas that lead to iconic
Yes,
moments.
absolutely. I mean, it's hard. You're
Yeah.
frustrated. You wish you could buy all this stuff, you know? But yes,
Yeah.
I think it does. And I think that, you know what, this is another very interesting part about Clueless. Because I didn't have a lot of money, I had to really shop like at thrift stores and malls, and then, you know, I had some designer stuff, but it was like a mixture of things. And at the time, people didn't dress that. You know, there was no high and low. It was either high, or I was preppy, I was punk rock, I was, you know, Versace girl, sexy girl, whatever it was. And that was something fresh that I also brought into the film. It's kind of like, you know, now you wear the flip flops with your jeans with your Balenciaga bag and, you know, some kind of expensive, crazy coat.
Yeah, and it
But-
works.
And it works. But then you didn't dress like that. So this was also first time that I was showcasing ways of kind of dressing that way. You know, so for example, Amber in her first outfit in the debate, she's wearing the black cardigan with like a black trim boa. It's trimmed with black boa, you know, feather headband with a white t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah.
You know, it was cookie crazy, but then it was kind of grounded and real, high and low. You know, Alicia in her gym outfit, you know, it's the white t-shirt with the black little strappy tank top on top. Nobody wore that before. And now it's like a staple. You can even buy it together.
Right. It is, yeah. These moments give these, when you're kind of, I don't know, limited, it really creates more somehow.
Well, I think
Um,
you have to step up. You have to think on your toes. You know, you have to, you are forced into something that just, you know, I mean, sometimes it's a mother of invention when you don't have something and you have to do it in a different way, you know.
yeah,
But you have to be patient, and I think you have to kind of hopefully have good help too, because you know when you don't have resources, you have to go to more places. It's not like it's in one place in the designer store.
sure.
Um, you know, and that took a lot. I mean, there was a lot of clothes, 63 changes again, Carlisa Silverstone. I mean, Stacey at 45, you know,
That's
and
a lot.
same with Brittany. And then, you know, people don't think about it, but I had to dress all the extras.
Wow. This
Otherwise,
is a lot of work.
they showed up 5 a.m. in their grunge clothes, but they couldn't wear grunge in the movie. They wouldn't fit in the Beverly Hills world. So we had to
Mm,
create all the different fractions, you know, the stoners, and then you had the drama club, and you had the cool boys, and you know, then
wow.
you had the quad, you had the cafeteria, you had all the classrooms. You know, the people sitting around share, and all the main characters had to look cool.
Mhm,
But there were
mhm.
families as well. So you know
It's
that the resources and money and time, you know, there was a lot of people to dress.
that's a lot. Do you have a notebook where you're is how you keep up with everybody? Like,
Yes, I mean there's formulas, and there's, you know, we have things now. It's all computerized, which is much
oh,
easier. But you know
yeah,
then it was all handwritten, and yeah, you know you have a script. You work also with casting extras, casting people, so they casting. We get their pictures, we can
yeah.
communicate with them, we get their sizes. So it's very well organized, you know. And then I have specific assistants to do it. So there's just like girls who deal specifically with the background actors. And they go shopping for them. They put in the truck, you know, we have name tags for everybody. So they come in the morning, okay, this is your clothes, go put it on. You already wore it in that scene. You know, then you're gonna come back and change for the different scene. We already have your outfit for that. You know, sometimes you do prefits with them. Sometimes they just show up and we create it on the day. But yeah, it's a lot of fun work, but it is, you know, and they have to have the hats and Kangol hats and accessories and bucket hats and backpacks and jewelry and what.
Oh, accessories too. Wow, I didn't even think about
Yeah,
that.
yes, yes. And then
Wow, that
the hair people has to do their hair. You know, there was not much makeup because they were young, but yeah,
yeah. It keeps you on your toes, this job.
for sure. You know, it's a very interesting. You have to be very uh, I think organized, you know, I think you have to be quick on your toes. You have to solve problems quickly because everything arises and you have to kind of be like, okay, yes, no, no, this. Okay, let's go moving forward because everybody's waiting. You know, you have to keep the camera rolling.
Yeah,
If they waiting for you, they losing money. So
right.
you gotta be ready. You can have the crew standing around. And you also want to make it easy for the actor, for the director. You know, when I compare the actor and they're ready in their costume, they show up on set and they're ready to go. They're not
Mm,
complaining saying, something doesn't fit them, or they don't like this, I deliver them to the director in full glory in a way as the character. You know,
It it also sounds like, I mean, this is a job that requires a lot of pre-work before shooting,
correct.
and
Most
then a lot of work during shooting
correct.
and after.
Well, after, yes, I usually have my team wrap it up, but yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Which is nice. But yes, I mean, I think to me, the most creative is really the beginning in a sense, because I really have to find that world, find these people. Who are they? Who are the characters? Like, what do they say about themselves through the plays? And that's
Mhm,
the detective. And then it's the fittings. So when that's set, that's really good because we know what world we're living in. So then when we're shooting, we're kind of augmenting that world that I already created. So yes,
yeah.
there's a lot of work, but we already have the blueprint. As really
Yeah.
the beginnings, I'm trying to figure out what that is. Find the ideas, find the inspiration that works for the director, the actors. That everything is kind of comes together.
Mhm.
And I think the more you are kind of immersed with that, and again communicating with the actors, communicating with the director of photography, production designer, the better the movie it is because it's all sends the same message.
Mhm, mhm. For sure. A couple of last questions. I was reading through a little bit of your book, and you talked about the red Alaya dress. And was that, if I remember correctly, was that one given for the film, like one of the few designer pieces
Well,
that
given
they
it was lent to us because
lent? Okay.
I love that dress. I saw that dress in the store, but I couldn't afford it. And this was, again, think of no computers, no emails, no cell phones. We had to find the PR, number, phone number, and we actually found the atelier number in Paris. I found somebody who spoke French. We called them. We had to figure out the time difference and everything, call them up, and they actually answered the phone in a day. People actually answered phones,
Yes.
And he said,
Right?
this amazing movie with this director and heckling who did Fast Times in Ridgemont High. And we have Alice Silverstone, this beautiful young actress who was in Aerosmith videos. And we have Paul Rudd, who was nobody then. I mean, he hasn't even done a movie before this one.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Okay, we are kind of interested. Let me talk to Mr. Alaya." And they get back to us, and they allowed us to borrow the dress. Which was
Yeah.
amazing. I was like, "This is the dress that she wore for the Christmas party, and it's just perfect because it's just so beautifully, designed, and the fabric is kind of tight, but." He's famous for these thick kind of knits, which are
Mm.
beautiful, so it hugs the body, but it's not like very over sexy.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we kind of wanted to show a little bit grown up Cher in that scene.
Yeah.
And the neckline was so beautiful, kind of like a square neckline. And they said yes. And then I just had to like almost have sleepless nights because I knew she has to go on the ground in that dress. And she can't ruin that dress because we would have to buy it. So we
Yes.
basically with little like, brushes almost cleaning the ground where she had to lay down on. I'm like, Alicia, don't wiggle, just lay there. Don't breathe.
Yes. Yeah, how nice for Mr. Elia
Yes,
to
but
lend a
it was
dress.
amazing the aftermath because Alaya was an amazing designer. And we as fashionistas really knew him in Paris and kind of Europe, but he wasn't very known to the rest
Yeah,
of the world. And I mean, being in the movie and saying his name, everybody went, "Well, who is Alaya?"
right. Yeah.
And he got
Did the brand
world.
cap
He got
sorry, go ahead on.
he got world. I mean, exposed to the world in this film.
Yeah, and that's what I was, gonna ask, like, did the movie help his career?
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know. I don't have an answer to that, but I know that he became a household name.
yeah, from that, it
Was he
helped.
Alaya? Okay, we got to find out about it. It wasn't internet. You couldn't Google, but you could, find out and check out the European runway show books, big collezioni books that we had, and
Yeah,
figure it out. So it was cool. I was very grateful, because nowadays, it's like Sex in the City, they get just buckets and buckets of the clothes and stuff, and it's a different PR machine. But then, it was also a very small movie with like
mhm.
bunch of new actors, and they didn't know it's gonna be the hit that it became.
Yeah. And then you've gone on to do other movies like Never Been Kissed and Enchanted, and, how have
Wedding
those
Singer.
movies shaped you?
I mean, it just, I think what Clueless really shaped me in the way being with Amy Heckerling, because she was so open and she loves my style and kind of my aesthetic so much that she opened me up. It was one of my first studio films.
Mm,
I didn't even have an agent. And she almost like opened the bottle, and the genie came out because, I really, through her belief in me and kind of love of my aesthetic, my art, she let me believe in myself.
mm,
This is cool, what I'm creating. Because, you don't never know. Sometimes people criticize or you have directors who are maybe not so, you never can guess what they want or whatever. But Amy was seamless. Everything I did, and she almost encouraged the more, give me more hats, give me more this. This is awesome. I love how you're doing this. So it kind of gave me this permission to be who I am as an artist fully.
mm,
So then when I started, moving on to the next films, Romy and Michelle, Never Been Kissed, Wedding Singer, I was like, let's play. I'm just gonna do my thing
yeah,
because it worked. When the movie came out, clothes came out. I mean, it was everywhere, and everybody started wearing the clothes. They just basically took the grunge off and started putting, fun, colorful, well tailored clothes on all over the world. So I knew I had something.
mhm, mm,
And so I think that movie really shaped me. And then consequently, I was able to infuse the other films with this kind of signature that I've developed, this color, this joie de vivre, the whimsy that I put in clothes. And when you really look at all those films, they have something in common. That's something kind of we could call monome is
mhm.
or whatever it is,
You
And,
have your imprint on
and I
there.
love it. I love that I get to do these kind of fashion and female driven films, because I want to inspire girls. I want them to see themselves, be authentic and fun, and use clothes as expression, and bring more joy to their lives. I think it's really fun. And I think that's
Mhm,
what Clueless does. You look at that film and you feel great. You're like, oh my God, I want to do that. This is so much fun. And I'm inspired now to maybe wear the headbands or the over the knee stockings or the color or the Empire Waist dresses, whatever that is. That's very
for
girly,
sure.
fit you well, make you feel good. So I think it's interesting how I developed my style and kind of, you know, my design sense that I can
Yeah.
fuse, my work with. And I'm grateful for that. I'm really grateful for that.
I asked Catherine Martin this question. Would you ever start your own fashion brand now that you have done these years of being a costume designer, or is it a turn off the thought of creating, ready to wear collections or couture, resort collections?
Absolutely
It-
love to do it. I mean, I think it would be really fun because again, I have my pieces that I always use that are my signature. So that could be something that I can bring, you know, to the ladies, to the females of the world, something that fits really well, something that's easy to wear, something that's stylish and comfortable at the same time, that elevates your little fashion sense, that you can be a certain character maybe too, a little bit of this or a little bit of that. I mean, I definitely would want to have a backer and, not have to do the day to day or, have everything kind of set up. I can come in and design it. That would be
yeah.
totally a dream because I think that there is need for that in the current fashion uh, world that we're looking at. I mean, I think there we are. Most designers of all couture shows, I mean, fashion houses are men.
Yes, it's too many men. I would say of doing women's wear.
Yeah. And I think there's a disconnect. I think that we as women, we don't want to wear mama dresses. We don't want to wear giant sleeves and big giant ruffles and stuff. I think we want
Mhm,
something that, expresses our beauty.
mhm.
And
But
it's
that's also practical.
right, right. Practical, but inspiring. It doesn't have to be boring.
Mhm.
And what is that? I mean, it's like that perfect black dress that you always go to, and you know that when you're gonna put it on, it's be like, oh, I think Zach Posen is doing something really great with Gap. I think he's
Yeah.
really elevating a brand that was kind of, middle of the road, and now he's infusing some really nice designs, very feminine designs, fitted clothes, well crafted, there's good patterns that
Yeah.
enhance, female bodies. I mean, it's beautiful to see what he's doing with Gap.
I think Albert Elbaz was trying to do that with his own brand before he passed, and I was talking with Ava Cavalli recently, and she always says, "I'm a woman, and I know how women feel," and a lot of times she said male designers don't often know. They think they know what women want, but,
Yeah, I
not
don't
always.
I think they don't know our bodies. I mean, we have
Yeah.
a lot of curves. I mean,
Yes.
we have the breasts, we have the waist, we have the hips, we have the thighs, we have the arms, we have
Mhm,
the back
mhm,
fat. I mean, we have all
mm,
kinds of stuff that we have to think as, and, we're not always 21 or 22. I mean,
yeah.
that's something that I would love to design too for women who really are, not like maybe in their later years too, in their 40s and 50s where things are not so perfect. And how do you, create clothes that are comfy where you put it on and it doesn't pull you in the wrong way or like, oh my God, or you have to hike it up all the time or, and
Mhm.
using really comfortable fabrics. I mean, I think it's there. We have
Yeah.
great technology now. There's things. So it's interesting, I think um, yeah, not knowing what women want, but also not knowing women and their bodies and how do we move and what is comfortable and what really works for us, and what we want to feature. I mean, I think it's like, we are women. So like, okay, maybe we have great legs. So let's show the legs. Maybe we have great cleavage. Let's show that. Or, we have super great arms. So let's do, sleeveless things. And there's also these things that we want to think about
Yeah.
how to help women to understand what that is their great feature.
Yeah. And that's what a woman designer is really good at
Yeah, like
because she
yeah,
knows what it's like.
yeah, and I think it's, in the end, fashion is about feeling good. I wanna feel
Mhm.
good. I wanna feel sexy, or I wanna have fun, I wanna be a tomboy or whatever it is, but, like, I wanna feel great. I
Yeah.
wanna put this persona on whatever that is and have fun with it. So, yeah, I think we're losing a little bit of that. There's a lot kind of things that are just, not female friendly, let's say.
Hopefully, young girls, will be inspired to go to design school and to
I
create.
hope so. I'm definitely helping with
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna go with my book to a lot of art schools
Yes.
and fashion schools and, you know, costume schools and talk about this and talk about my ideas about design.
And
You know,
that's my last question. Your book, what inspired you to write it? Can you just give a little synopsis of what the book is about?
well, it's culmination of 30 years in a way, it's my legacy about the film and kind of how I came up with the looks and the behind the scenes and talking with the actors, seeing the costume design process as well,
Mhm.
and I think bringing all the creative ideas in one place, being able to open the book and go from the beginning of the movie to the end and seeing the different uh, characters and actors and colors and I don't know, something about taking the movie and the ideas and having them in your home coffee table book, coffee table to be able to reach out to look at the characters anytime, uh,
Yeah.
and be with them kind of intimately and see the details of the work. I mean, there's stuff here that's like I haven't even seen. There's costume continuity Polaroids that we found in like Paramount Vault that I haven't seen in 30 years.
Wow.
But there's behind the scenes, they'll style guides, how to dress like Cher,
Yes.
Kate. Uh, so it's just really fun and it really expresses kind of my joie de vivre of life too, and kind of just creation. And that's very, I think, inspiring and something that it's fun to have, something too fun to look through. So maybe you don't have to always go see the movie, but you can just look in the book and be inspired. Like, oh my God, I love that outfit on Cher. Oh my God, remember this? When this is when they were in the gym class. Oh my God, so cute.
Yes.
So I mean, it's inspiration. It's like again, inspiring people, all ages, not only the young design students, but, the nostalgia too of the moms who were maybe young women when they saw the movie who are in their 60s now, uh,
Yeah,
all of us. It's really, and the design students and, the daughters of the mothers who are now 8 years old.
that's true. It's a fuzzy, warm time when I think back to that movie and the Friday night shows, and
Yeah.
I think if I could go back just to live one of those Friday nights again,
So I
those were
think
the
the
good
book is
ones.
like bringing you the Friday nights,
Yes,
like
indeed,
with the food.
indeed. Because anyone who's 35 and up is familiar with
Oh,
Clueless,
oh, but girl,
and,
everybody is familiar with us. I mean, when I go out to the events, I have 16-year-olds, I
ah,
have 8-year-olds, I have, oh my
okay.
God, it's amazing. It's cross-generational, really. It really
Wow, even the 8-year-olds know
Yeah,
about it,
because the
so
moms, maybe loved it and they showed it to them. They went to the movie together or watched it at home. I mean, the movie is kind of playing always somewhere on Netflix or Hulu or somewhere. It's always
yeah,
on, one of
yeah,
the channels. Uh,
yeah.
so it's great. And again, it's like the Friday night. It brings that smile to your face, that warm, fuzzy feeling. Wow.
When we weren't having so many global problems
We
that
need,
we're having now.
we need this.
Yeah.
We need a little respite and we need a little fun. And I think also getting off your phone, touching a book,
Yes,
touching a
yes,
page,
yes,
looking at a photo and taking a moment.
yes,
um, it's really important. It's kind of like slowing down because when you slow down, that's when you're really paying attention and it's where you can create or can experience something. It's really, it's like meditation. You're breathing, you're kind of in the now. And,
yeah,
that's what a written word and a book can bring, to bring you a little bit more into the now where you can experience yourself and hopefully get inspired by that. How do you see the characters and how can that influence you yet again, maybe?
for sure, and I'm gonna watch it tonight. It's on Netflix here, and,
Oh, really?
yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock, but I'm gonna stay up and watch,
Oh my God.
Clueless again.
Then you have to write to Natalie just a little note after you see it. Will you just, oh my God, like what you kind of, what tickled you or what was fun to see again?
Yes, because 'cause it's been, I don't know, maybe 5 years since I've seen it last, so it's gonna be nice to turn it on, and now having talked to you and, I'm gonna
Well,
have to get a copy of the book
oh, for
and,
sure, I'll sign in for you, absolutely. And
yeah,
it's fun because now you may be able to pay attention more to the background artists. You see all, kind of the depth of things and
yeah,
uh yeah, I mean, I've watched the movie, hundreds of times and recently I saw it again on the big screen at a few events and just even for me, I was like, oh my God, I remember that. Yes. And like even myself, I remember things and are amazed. And I think really is like how current the clothes are. Please watch that,
yes.
remember and see that because it's really fascinating how it
Because you can still wear a lot of every single
yeah, and
piece.
not like in a vintage way, but in like a
Mhm.
cool way that's actually, very contemporary now.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was inspiring how the film inspired high schoolers at that time to step up their fashion game,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
and, that's inspiration.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm grateful for the opportunity and I'm grateful to be here 30 years later talking to you and, still inspiring the kids. And now hopefully I get to do it through the book to, more generations and inspire the kids to go out there and, be costume designers, be fashion designers,
yeah,
bring joy to
yeah,
the world. Yeah.
to have some girls, some young ladies out there going to school and yeah. Thank you, Mona, for your time. This is, just when Natalie emailed me and said, "Would you like to interview the costume designer from Clueless?" I said immediately, "Yes."
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And please tell all your readers, please buy the book. You can actually, I don't know when
Yes.
you can pre-order it now. It's coming out on October 29th. We can get it
Okay.
on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and probably smaller bookstores, in local stores too, but Amazon, you can get it. And it's a great gift, I think, for Christmas
Yes.
and the holidays. So support
Yeah.
female artists and thank you everybody. And Enjoy.
Of
Love
course.
you.
Thanks. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and that you have found a soulful connection to the conversation. God bless you, and until the next episode, go bless somebody else.